It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 30th day of July, 2020. Another hot day in Central Virginia. This will be our 30th straight day of 90 degrees or better. It's supposed to be 93 or 4 today. But for those of you that are suffering from the heat, unlike me, who I just go get in the pool, tomorrow we're going to get a break. A cold front is moving in. And matter of fact, I have my mittens and a scarf ready and a wetsuit so I can still enjoy the pool because it's going to be cold. It's going to be 88 tomorrow. Actually, for the next week or so, we're supposed to be in the 80s as for a high. So we are going to get a little bit of a break from this oppressive run of 90-degree temperatures. And, this is pretty early in the year for us to have heat like this here in Virginia, but that's the way it's been. So might as well get right at it this morning as we get to talk about weather again. Not surprised at that. By the way, this is now Tropical Storm Isaias, and I have been informed by the National Hurricane Center that the way they want this name pronounced is Isaias, which I was trying to put an extra syllable in it. But anyway, I don't know still don't know where they came up with that name. But anyway, to get started on what's going on out there in the tropics, first of all, over there off of the Africa coast again is another low pressure system. It's got a 20% chance at this point of further development. But, this time last week, that's where Isaias was. Now, in the meantime, Isaias, as of the update that was just minutes ago, let's see, and the sustained winds are still at 60. Pressure is 1,003 millibars, and she's still moving northwest at 20 miles an hour. So that has not changed with the update that just came out literally minutes ago. Isaias will produce heavy rains and potentially life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides across Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas. Heavy rains are associated with Isaias may begin to affect South Florida by Saturday morning, potentially resulting in isolated flash and urban flooding. Now, folks, let's make one thing reasonably clear here before we go on about Isaias. A lot is dependent on what's going to happen over the next couple days is dependent on what happens in the next couple hours. As the center of rotation, if you want to call it that, which is not very well deformed yet. It's got a wind field of like 400 miles out from this center area. But the center area is right now in that little strip of water between Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, okay, which is a reasonably small amount of water. Actually, how it hits Hispanola, which the Dominican Republic, is going to determine what's going to happen on down the road. If the center of this storm primarily goes into the middle of the Dominican Republic, where you've got some high mountains on Hispanola, however you say that, you got a couple 10,000-foot mountains in there, and it spends more time over land, that's going to tend to weaken it a little, and it probably won't gain hurricane strength. If, however, it veers either to the south or the north and spends more time over water, that's very warm water, and that's going to gain strength, it very likely will become a hurricane. So that's where she's sitting right now. And what happens literally the next couple hours is going to determine what's going to go on with this storm on down the road. Now, depending again on what happens, at the absolute worst, let's say it does get to hurricane strength, goes on across Dominican Republic, probably will hit Turks and Caicos, skirt to the north of Cuba, go across the southern part of the Bahamas Islands, and come into Florida, anywhere along the coast of Florida. So there's a good possibility by Saturday, late Friday night, early Saturday morning, that the storm center, whatever it is at that point, could be in Florida. Now, the possibility of it continuing on and taking in the panhandle of Florida has been diminished considerably because of a jog during the night a little bit to the north. So this is no guarantee, of course, that it's going to hit Florida. It's even a possibility that it shears off to the north before it gets there. A lot depends on what speed it's going to continue going. It's been an extremely fast-moving storm, all the way across, from Africa, much faster than normal, and it's still moving at 20 miles an hour, which is, at this point in the development, is pretty fast. That could change again, depending on if it has some more of an impact from the mountains, or if it's more of an impact from this warm water. So we don't know yet. Is it going to hit Florida? We'll see. It's very possible, clearly, that Florida is in for some rain and some winds, but how serious and how much it's going to be some time yet before we know. But it looks like this weekend's going to be a little dicey. Continuing on with the 11 o'clock update on Isaias, tropical storm conditions will continue across portion of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. By the way, they've been getting some massive rain through the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico already today, and that will continue as the back end of the storm now hooks around and comes across Puerto Rico from the south. And it's going to spread across portions of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Turks and Caicos and Bahamas later today through tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for these areas. They advise you not to focus on the details of the track forecast, as rainfall and wind hazards will extend out a great deal of the way from the center, so you just need to be ready for it. There is a risk of impacts from winds, heavy rainfall, and storm surge along the portions of the U.S. East Coast, and that could go anywhere from South Florida all the way up to the Outer Banks of North Carolina for the weekend. So the mid-Atlantic states could be impacted anywhere through there due to Isaias interacting with Hispanola. The details in the track and intensity forecast remain uncertain, as it's too soon to determine the magnitude and location of these potential impacts. So we got, a lot's got to happen yet before we know what the heck's going on with this storm. But anyway, folks, if you can remember it, Isaias, who knew about that? Okay, we got a couple stories to cover this morning, but if I have to bring you one in between. My friend Pete over there in London, Pete. Pete got out of the house and went on a hike and got lost. And I think he got lost so bad that he ended up at John's pot farm in Minnesota as he got terribly lost yesterday out on a hike. Actually, the reason I stuck that in there was to make fun of Pete, of course, which I'm doing. But also because of our show on Sunday. What I hope is going to happen, I do not have a final confirmation yet, but I'm hoping that our guest on Sunday will be the a vice president of sales for Virgin Voyages. Again, it has not. Do not have final confirmation, but I'm hoping that's who will be our guest on Sunday, so we can talk about the Scarlet Lady and possibly the Valiant Lady, which is the next ship, and of course all the disaster, awful timing that COVID forced on Virgin Voyages getting started, which they haven't gotten started yet because of the pandemic. But anyway, we're going to talk about that and what's going on with them and their plans for the future and so forth. Could be a very interesting program. Again, it's not finalized yet, but that's what it's looking like. And I'm hoping to get literally at any time, get the final confirmation of our guest for Sunday. So that'll be at 3:00 our time, Eastern Daylight Time, which is 8:00. 8 p.m. London time over there. And by the way, our guest is in Wales, so that'll be somebody else that talks funny to go along with Pete. So he talks funny. He'll be unlost by Sunday from walking around the pot farm in Minnesota. I guarantee you on that. All right, there's been, getting back to the serious end of things, there's been some reports out the past 24 hours or so that Carnival Corporation is considering selling two of the cruise brand, Cunard and Seabourn. They're, with all the suspension of operations and the number of ships that they're getting rid of, the story came out and was actually published that they're trying to get rid of both of those lines, which that would, of course, impact the Queen Victoria, Queen Elizabeth, or the Cunard ships, and Seabourn, which has got several other vessels. Of course, they're both, on lockdown. They're not sailing anywhere now. But Carnival this morning came out and said, "Hey, dude, I don't know where you guys got that story, but it's not true." So Carnival has denied that they're selling those two lines, or trying to sell the two lines. So just remember, not everything you hear in the travel and cruise industry space can you believe. Now, there is also reports out that Carnival has increased from 13 to 15 ships that they're going to dispose of. But they did not say what the other two ships are. So, it was like pulling teeth to get the names of what we've gotten out of them so far. I don't understand why Carnival is playing these games. If they're going to dispose of all these ships, just give us to say, okay, we're trying to sell this one, or this is going to go to be scrapped or whatever. We understand what you're doing. You're trying to save the corporation from this, zillions of dollars you're losing. Nobody's fussing about what you're doing, but I don't get the misleading business. Just doesn't make sense to me. So, but anyway, one of the main stories out was them selling two lines. Says according to Carnival now today, they're saying no. That could change by 10 minutes from now, but at least right now they're not. And then most of you probably heard about Norwegian. Yesterday, they announced that it's suspending sailings through the month of October. So that adds another month on or so from where they were. I think they were through September 30th. And of course, that covers Oceania, Regent Seas, and Norwegian Cruise Lines. Not surprising, pretty much expected. And this might not be the end of it yet, depending on what happens in places like Florida with the pandemic. Florida, Texas, and California, I think, are the three key areas that need to get back close to normal before the CDC is going to let anybody sail from the U.S. It's just my read on it. Whether or not that's true or not, who knows? Okay. There are some travel pros. It was a very interesting article that came out in Travel Weekly yesterday. And the article is by Megan Drillinger, who's one of the writers for Travel Weekly. And she talked to some travel pros, Donna Alcarmi, who's the owner of Lone Star Travel. And she's been to Mexico twice in the 3 weeks since Mexico reopened its borders to tourism. Rhonda Helton of the Travel Connection has been traveling back and forth to Mexico since July the 5th. Janine Cohen, a luxury and adventure travel expert specializing in Latin America, chose to remain in Mexico for the duration of the pandemic. And Sharon Walters, owners of Sharon Walters Travel, recently spent 12 days in Los Cabos, where she has built a home. And Kim Kessler, who's head of public relations for Costa Carraz Luxury Estate in Jalisco, chose to relocate to Carayas permanently in the wake of the public health crisis. Now, the verdict of all these travel folks was that they feel safer in Mexico than they do in the U.S., based on the way the country has responded to the outbreak. Now, I found that one to be extraordinarily interesting. Resorts and popular tourist destinations are proving to be among the best equipped to navigate the new normal, and for most part, resorts are enforcing the health and safety protocols that they touted prior to reopening. Mexico's top tourism destinations continue to be areas that travel professionals trust and are rerouting travel from other destinations to Mexico. Travel to Mexico City is not recommended, as they have not done near as well as they have in the resorts. So if you wish to travel during the time of the COVID-19 and what remains, you must be flexible, be patient, be understanding, and be respectful. If clients cannot abide by these simple guidelines, they should not consider traveling at this time. Frequently wash your hands, maintain social distancing, and wear a cloth face covering in public, and don't complain about it. And you could get along fine going to some of the resorts in Mexico. So it's interesting that these are travel professionals, folks. This isn't just some Joe Schmuck off the street that wants to go on a vacation and fight all the, the sensible things about the pandemic. These are people that know what they're doing and feel safer in Mexico than in the States. And I'm sorry, but that's sad. Anyway, that's my take. Anyway, it was a very interesting article. Okay, French Polynesia is could be the next area. Actually, is the next area for sailing. Yesterday, a ship sailed. So, as cruising from North American ports of call continues to push further into the fall, following the extension of the CDC's no sail order, French Polynesia is emerging as a location where cruising has already begun to tentatively restart. Tourism plays an enormous role in this region, which is comprised of over 100 islands clustered in the South Pacific. The capital, Papeete, has long been a base for tourism and cruising thanks to the availability of an international air service to the island's international airport. On July the 15th, French Polynesia made the decision to lift quarantine requirements for visitors from any country. There are still some steps that must be taken, but French Polynesia is where regular cruising has resumed for most nationalities. Paul Gauguin Cruises, which is an all-exclusive line, resumed sailing in mid-July with most Polynesian passengers and started its first sailing with international passengers yesterday. From August 2020 onward, the ship will resume its schedule of 7 to 14 night sailings in Tahiti, French Polynesia, and the South Pacific. Aranui Cruises has also starting sailings aboard its hybrid passenger cargo vessel, Aranui 5, with its first departure for international passengers on August the 8th. Now, they started last week on the 5 with local residents of the Marquesas Islands, and they've been sailing with those passengers since, and will start adding in international passengers on the 8th. The other main line that operates in that part of the world is Windstar, and they have put off scheduling anything until the fall, like many of the other lines. So interesting that, if you're absolutely dying, folks, to get on a cruise, and if you can get to an airport that can fly you to Papeete, you could possibly get a ship into Polynesia, French Polynesia. So just throwing that out. All right, got a whole bunch of talk over here. I have not been in the chat room at all, other than saying good morning to everybody. So Tom's with us. Good morning, Tom. Hey, Pete's here. Pete, I'm sorry I was talking about you, but that's good. I shared that same comment with Pete earlier about him ending up at the pot farm. So anyway, Pete's with us. Gretchen's here. Hey, Gretchen, how you doing? I haven't seen John yet. Today's John's birthday. He's almost catching up with me. He's within 2 years now of me as of today. But I'll stay ahead of him on that one, I'm afraid. Tom Henry says, hey, Pete, keep an eye on Chance White. He has been booted from most cruise groups for breaking group rules and promoting his YouTube channel. That's interesting. Hi, Gretchen. Oh, Tom says, happy birthday to John. Have a puff on your product. Yeah, that's right. Go smoke some of that pot. Because you guys all know that I give him, actually, he's a hemp farmer. It's which, I mean, to me, that's pot, but that's just neither here. Okay, Jason's with us. Hey, Jason. Maybe Chillie will do a cannonball into the pool today. Well, the problem is that, my big fat butt, if I did a cannonball, the damn pool would be out of water. There's no doubt about that. Nikki's with us. Hey, Nikki. So everybody's talking about John's birthday today. And Pete says, that's he'll keep an eye on it. Okay, so they're talking about that guy, Gretchen's. Everybody's saying hello to each other, and that's good as always. Amy's with us. Hey, Amy. Wow, Amy was here at 11:02. That's good for Amy. Usually she's still asleep at 11. I don't know that she's still asleep, but it sounds good. So Amy's with us on time today. That's great. Let's see. Jason's still alive. Jason's cruise is still alive. He hasn't been canceled out of his yet. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm afraid that day's going to come here pretty soon. That they'll back up another month or two. Emily's with us. Good morning, gang, she says. By the way, Emily, I know you have been thinking about doing the tracer training business for COVID tracing things. I don't know anything about that. But anyway, I think that'd be awesome, and it's clearly something that has to be done if we ever get ahead of this deal. So I know you were worried about whatever kind of test or something you have to take. Man, go for it. We're behind you on that one. That would be awesome. I hope Emily didn't mind me saying that on the air, but that's, I'd love to see you do that. Sonny's with us. Hey, Sonny, how you doing? Norfolk, Virginia, Tom says, Norfolk, Virginia would be nice. My next cruise is on Encore, and it's in Norfolk now. Would be easy peasy. Oh, yeah, you could just go out and jump on the ship right there. Yeah, that's a hop, skip, and a jump from where you live, isn't it? Tender embarkation is only going to be 50% capacity or less. I would certainly think that that's correct, but we don't know. But I'm thinking that at least for a little while, all cruises, once we get started again, all the ships are going to be like that for some time. But I still think we've got to get over a lot of hurdles before even we're going to go at 50% on that. So anyway, let's sliding on down here to see if anything major is happening. John is with us. Hey, John, and happy birthday to John. Today is John's 69th birthday, despite all of you people saying 39. That's crap. John's 69 today. And he's 2 years younger than me. Sort of. I'm 71, but anyway, so it is John's birthday, so I wasn't really entirely counting on John being here today. And of course, I talked about his pot farm earlier with Pete getting lost on a hike and ended up in Minnesota, which is a hell of a being lost. But then he looked pretty lost to me in that picture. So, his little silliness today. Thank you for all the birthday wishes, John says. Let's see, sliding on down. Nikki, John, fantasy was breached. Yeah, I saw that, Jason, that the fantasy is now beached. So I'm really interested on this. They're adding 2 more ships and to the disposal list. And again, this is not officially from Carnival. I just like them selling the 2 lines. I mean, that was the story that was a published story yesterday. Now, Carnival says, no. There's no truth to that whatsoever. But I think it's interesting that they're going to add 2 more ships. 2 more fantasy class. Of course, there's could be some. It could be something other than the Carnival Cruise Line brand too. I mean, it could be one of the other brands. But who knows? But anyway, that was going to be interesting to see what happens in the next little bit from Carnival. I'll keep my eye on that. Jason's telling her that it's beached in Turkey. That's at the graveyard. Now, apparently there's 3 ships that have just recently been beached over there. And, of course, there's a 4th one on its way that we know of. Nikki says, yeah, whippersnappers. What, are we younger than? No. Can't be. Anyway, Pete, I'm no longer flexible. Anyway, good, Pete, that you got out and got on a hike yesterday. If you did get lost, I mean that's nice to get out and do that. I wish I could do that. I wish I could walk. Wish I could walk further from here to the pool. That's about as far as I can walk. I'm going to end up having to have my knee replaced. I know that's going to happen. I just trying to put it off as long as I can. So, but one of these days I'm going to have to go in and do it so my knee catches up with both hips that have already been replaced. Anyone here do hair? Looks like Chillie needs. It is kind of messy this morning. Actually, the truth of the matter, I was out in the pool. I went out for a swim earlier, so it's kind of salty. I went out and took an early morning dip this morning. Pete has a mower. Yeah, well, it probably needs that. Sorry about that, folks. I'm just making use of the pool because of this cold front moving in. So tomorrow's going to be awful. So 88. Freeze to death. Let's see, anything else going down here? Anyway, that's about it for today, folks. Thank y'all for being with me. Again, I will stay on top as much as I can on Tropical Storm Isaias with what's going to happen and if it's going to affect Florida at all. I was hoping Bonnie would be with us today to see if she saw the launch this morning of the rocket going to Mars. Took off this morning about just a little bit before 8 o'clock. That was pretty cool to see. As a matter of fact, Tom, since you were talking about my lovely hair, I went out and got in the pool and came back in, and I got wrapped up watching that stupid launch this morning instead of getting in the shower like I should have. But and then I was busy getting the show set up. So the hair's a mess. So be it. So anyway, I was hoping Bonnie would be here since she's down there reasonably close to the launch. I mean, she's a little south of it, but still, they said that literally because of the weather conditions today, the whole state of Florida could have seen this thing if you'd been looking at the right time and probably heard a good bit of it too, because I imagine that was pretty loud. But anyway, it's on its way to Mars until February or something. It's supposed to land in Mars, and they're going to drill down and to try to find proof of life on Mars, 1,000 years ago or something. And they're going to set up a weather station. So we're going to have weather forecasts for Mars in the future, if all goes well. And the thing lands right, which is going to be interesting. But anyway, that's going to happen in February. But anyway, that was pretty cool this morning. I did enjoy doing that. Okay, that's it for today, guys. I'll be back, of course, Saturday. And if we get a breaking story in the meantime, especially on Isaias, I will either go live or get a video up or something so everybody can keep up to date with that and hunker down if you need to. But in the meantime, if you're down there in Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic or Turks and Caicos or especially the southern Bahamas, be safe, folks. And if you're in this country, be safe, socially distance, wash your hands lots, wear your mask, stay home if you can. If nothing else, I'll see you guys Saturday. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's travel and cruise industry news. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.